Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 198th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We're powered by 8bit.net and those sexy legends over at Audio Technica, but more on those guys and gals later. I'm your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan8bit. And joining me today, my usual partner in crime, you can obviously find her at Miss Sally Hart. We are talking about none other than Miss Sally Hart. How you doing today on episode 198?
Yeah, doing 198. Oh, that 200 is sneaking up.
It's kind of insane thinking about it. Like, sort of, there's a few times there where I'm like, holy moly, we have done this podcast well over 200 times when you factor in some of the bonus offshoots and things like that we've done as well. Like, it's crazy to be riffing video games for 200 plus hours when you sort of crunch it down like that. Maybe closer to probably 400 hours with the runtime. So that's an achievement in itself.
Yeah, it's crazy because then you go into like 200 episodes, 200 plus hours. How many years? Is it 4 years?
This is sort of the fifth year, yeah, technically, which is bonkers as well. So, yeah, I guess sort of putting a bow on that is listeners out there. We are nearly at 200. Obviously, we're at 198 right now. We're looking for questions. We're looking for comments, concerns, anything like that. We wanted to try and do a little bit of a Q&A style episode for episode 200. So send us your thoughts, send us your memories, send us your questions, anything related to the THG, or THG, I should say. It's not the Hungry Games. So at hello@8bit.net via the email. Obviously, DM us at We Are 8bit as a whole. Reach out to us individually if you'd like. But yeah, hit us up on those socials or via the email with thoughts, memories, high points, low points, anything like that, because we really want to sort of pull back that curtain and answer anything and everything, and just make 200 as much about yourselves as it is about us, because without you guys and girls out there, we wouldn't really have a podcast, would we? So yeah, 200 is going to be a bit of a reflection episode on the past, the present, the future, and everything else in between.
Yeah, it'd be funny to see like what are some fond memories of our listeners.
Yeah,
I'd like to see what actually stuck.
100%, because that's it. Like 200 episodes is a huge amount of content, and you know, I especially have forgotten some of the things we've spoken about, or maybe some high points or things that we had going for a little while during the seasons, games and certain little sort of quips and whatnot. So I'd be curious to see what's stuck in people's memories, or what they tried to remove from it because it was that bad. So we've thrown a lot of mud at the wall, and not all of it is stuck, but we're still here.
The fact that we had Clam or Sham, like a game show, like attached to the end of, you know, our Hungry Gamer podcast, to then turn into the Hungry Game Show, the evolution of that is incredible.
Full circle. It's gone full circle. So we'll see what next evolution stems off the back of THG. But yeah, it's episode 198. We've had a pretty big week. Like this episode's going to be very PlayStation 5 centric for those listeners out there. Obviously, we finally got the PS5 conference after it was delayed due to some pretty serious situations going on around the world, and understandably so that they put the brakes on it for 7 to 10 days there. But they ran it yesterday, and we're going to be diving deep on that. But I guess we could first talk about what we've been doing. Full disclosure, I'll lead off. I haven't been doing much. I've been working a lot, watching a bit of telly and playing a little bit more Apex. So I don't think we need to go down that rabbit hole yet again.
Watching anything interesting?
The new Penny Dreadful season, I guess.
Oh, you watched that, huh?
Yeah, so City of Angels, it's very different to the first iteration of Penny Dreadful, and it feels like they've literally only got the name Penny Dreadful attached to this just for brand recognition. Like, it's still written similarly. Like, it's still very dialogue heavy. It's still very intelligently written, but the universe is different. The time period's different. Themes are different. Like, it's more so focusing on the early 1900s and sort of the racism that's sort of pretty prevalent today, I guess, really. So it's pretty interesting how you watch it back in the early 1900s, and now we're here in the in the 2000s, and it's still the same shit. So I think that's kind of very interesting, that sort of piece of social commentary that they focus on. But it's focused or situated in Los Angeles, and sort of there's a lot of unrest and sort of focusing on, there's like a pocket of German sort of Hitler purists that are running around America, and then there's sort of the white Caucasians versus the Mexicans, and they're trying to sort of bulldoze an area of Los Angeles to put this highway through. So there's this sort of big racial uprising where it's the whites versus the Mexicans, and sort of social justice and just where people are sort of seen in that sort of social hierarchy back in those days. And as I said, like, it's spun on its head because it's similar shit that's still going on today, all these years later. It's pretty well done. They've got a couple of people from the original Penny Dreadful recast as different roles. Natalie Dormer is sort of the focal point of the show, and she plays a few different roles on the show. She's sort of like representing one of the gods from Mexico, and she sort of just inhibits a few different characters, and she plays and preys mostly on sort of chaos and panic, and weaves her way in there. It's a good watch, but the first version of Penny Dreadful I thought was just nearly perfect television, especially the first few seasons of it. Like, I really, really love that gothic setting and the cast and the writing, and talking, like, weaving all those sort of monsters and nightmare creatures from sort of gothic lore together into one story. I thought that was really well done. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. Nothing really new. Oh, and I just watched the debut episode of season 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars. All Stars. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so there was a few on there that got announced or revealed that I've never heard of. Like, my really? My Drag Race history is not the best from, like, going way back to sort of the OG seasons. I guess got onto the show maybe midway through its run, so I missed maybe the first 5 of the standard Drag Race. So some of the OG queens that are on there, I'm like, I don't know who you are, but
Gina is like from the first episode,
season 1. So had no idea who she was, but enjoyed that first episode last night. Curious to see who takes it out.
Ricky Martin as well was on it.
He's just living his best life.
He looks gorgeous.
Yeah, he really does. He'd be close to probably 50, I'm assuming. But yeah, he is still living La Vida Loca. Like, shout out to Ricky. And he having so much fun on there. Mm-hmm. Who you think's going to win? Who's your early favourite?
There's a big difference between a favourite and then, like, who's actually going to win. I think it's too early to say because, like, I'm just glad that, what's her name? The one that, spoilers? The one that left?
Loose spoilers.
Well,
Derek Barry.
Yeah, I was going to call him Britney Spears. I'm just glad he's gone because I can't stand him.
Yeah, he certainly stood out as someone that probably shouldn't be there.
Yeah. I don't know why they brought him back, or her back, but I'm glad that she had to get snipped in the first episode. Of course, obviously they will come back again for whatever reason, whether it's to possibly rejoin and have the opportunity to join in again or whatever, but ugh.
Yeah, I think Toxic. Jujubee's one of the front runners, definitely.
She's earned it.
Yeah, but I swear she was singing over a dub track with that.
Yeah, two sang with a dub track, as opposed to
Blair Sinclair, who did the live, which was not that good.
The one with the eyes. The one that started
Mayhem.
Mayhem, that's it. Yeah, I love Mayhem, but yeah, her song was a bit lackluster.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. I just don't think anyone that listens to our show ever expects there to be like a snippet of like RuPaul's Drag Race.
It's just how we do. Worlds collide here at the Hungry Gamers. So yeah, it's just good good television.
It
Have
is.
Side note, before we go too much deeper on RuPaul, did you watch the completion of the Celebrity Drag Race, that 4-episode spin-off? Have you watched that yet?
No, I haven't actually. I don't know where to get access to it, actually.
Yeah, I've got it on Stan. If you need a login, I can flick you mine. You can watch it on there.
I'm sure some dodgy person's put it on YouTube.
Yeah, well worth a watch. But anyway, yeah, RuPaul here for Australia on Stan. Airs every Saturday. Around the world, I don't know what it's on, but yeah.
Give it a try. If you think, like, why the hell are they talking about this show? This is definitely not me. Just give it a watch. It's oddly, like, satisfying in the fact of, like, sassy men, which is just great. Like, it's like catty and bitchiness, but from guys, so.
Yeah, and it is an art form. That's one thing you watch, and, like, before we continue down this rabbit hole, I said we were pivoting. You see in the early seasons, like the makeup quality and the aesthetic quality compared to now,
the
like
stage, the lighting,
the first few
production.
seasons, just looks like me with a wig on. Like,
yeah.
Then you see them now, and they're like these gorgeous women.
But there's like a lot of like early season queens have actually said, like, if I had to compete now, I would have no chance because they're just getting more talented, more like amazing makeup skills. Oh, you know what? Who I want to win? Miss Cracker. Because I like
Miss Cracker. Yeah, I like Miss Cracker.
So I hope she wins. She still may not, but I just hope she gets further than last time because she was robbed. Yeah.
Speaking of robbed, Gigi Good and even Crystal Method were robbed at the back end of the standard season of Drag Race, in my opinion, if you were judging it based off that final episode. But anyway.
They said Gigi Good cheated.
Oh, really?
They said she used a production team, which she wasn't allowed.
Oh, well, we'll talk about this more offline because now I'm intrigued because I didn't know that. All right, so I have not been playing bloody much outside of that. Obviously, some Apex, as I said. What about you, Miss Hart? What have you been doing?
I'm sorry, listeners. Some recent content dropped in this week about new DLC, new content, and that is from Destiny 2. So your girl's back on it.
Yeah, and understandably so, because they had a pretty sizable announcement this past week. So Bungie revealed sort of the future for Destiny 2 for the next several years. Like we've got Beyond Light, which is slated to drop in September, if I remember correctly, and then they've even forecast The Witch Queen for 2021, and then Lightfall, which is the working title for now, slated for 2022 release. So that's going to see Destiny 2 right up until the end of year 6 of the game. So 6 years of Destiny 2, or year 9 of the total Destiny franchise as it stands. But it's crazy. It really is crazy.
It's the most nicest way for them to say, shut the hell up, there is no Destiny 3. Like, just give it up. Like, we've got some content coming for a few years now, so zip it. And the other incredible thing that came from it was that they actually acknowledged some of their mistakes. There's actually been word in the community that they kind of admitted to the fact that they'd been more focused on this content coming up, and that a lot of the stuff in between was essentially just rushed out filler. Because what's going to be happening in this new content in September is we're going to finally find out who the Darkness is and who those, like, what has been referred to as the Dorito ships. Like, they came, we witnessed them, like, early on in Destiny 2, and then it was just kind of like, they're still around.
Yeah. Do you think they believe in a thing called love?
If you just listen to the rhythm of your heart. But I also want to mention Destiny actually had a live event where, like, there was a lot of mixed hype because a lot of people were comparing it to, like, a Fortnite live event, and Fortnite live events are massive. They're like a massive spectacular, and unfortunately a lot of Destiny players were either met with the Beaver era, so they got kicked out and they didn't get to witness it. Those who got to stay had to stay for roughly an hour and 45 minutes from what I remember people saying. And what it was if anyone's familiar with Destiny, there's like the main, hub, which is like, I call it the tower, but I think it's actually called something else. And in the sky, there was something called the Almighty that was going to attack. And there's also, big power weapon named Rasputin who was going to help. Anyway, so the whole thing was you were watching this ship entering the atmosphere being attacked by, you know, Rasputin, it was the slowest, lackluster thing I have seen. I feel bad because I know that Destiny, the group with Bungie, obviously were working with what they had, like, technology wise, but it was so slow. It was so, like, drawn out, and then finally there was just this bang, and then, you know, it exploded. It was like coming down in a fiery mess. About the coolest thing from it was like watching live streams of people going, "That's gonna hit us. That's gonna hit the tower." It didn't.
And it didn't.
It didn't. Like, some debris did. So there's some cool, like, broken, you know, smashed areas that got hit. But for a live event where people had to wait an hour and 45 minutes, it was pretty lackluster. So, but now we're moving on to this new season, and yeah, like it's why I've jumped on, because it's going to be the last season before the new content, for as far as I'm aware. It's called the season of the arrivals. So they've added like new content, new like a dungeon which has already been beaten, and it's already been beaten solo.
That's
so
insane.
That's one thing I love about the Destiny community. Destiny goes, okay, we've worked on this thing. You got to work as a team, and then first minute team beats it like within 24 hours. Next minute, someone solos it by themselves within the 42. Like, so.
I guess that's better though than when they had some of them puzzles that no one could crack, and when they did, you got shit all. Like, at least it's kind of cool. Like, I guess what would you find the happy medium to be? You know, was that too easy what they just released compared to some of those puzzles and trials that were just too bananas?
I think this one was classified as a dungeon from what I'm aware. I haven't tried it. I haven't attempted it or looked at it, because I haven't played Destiny what feels to be like over a year. Like, there's so much stuff that I had to catch up on, like just playing Destiny alone. But this is a dungeon, and dungeons are usually like a smaller experience or a less elaborate experience than doing a raid.
Yeah, it's like a strike.
Yeah, essentially. So like the last raid, I think, is the one that you're kind of mentioning, where they just couldn't figure it out, and like those poor people that like were streaming for like days, like having to take like 2-hour naps because they didn't want to miss the opportunity of being the first to complete it. Like, but I freaking love that. I don't know why. I just love watching people being like, yeah, we're a team. We're going to knock this out, to, if you don't listen to me, I'm leaving. I'm going to go. Screw you guys. It's a good look just at how humans act under pressure. So, yeah. But, so I'm playing Destiny again, jumping back in for someone that's, like I said, haven't played in a year. There's a lot of things that are going on. So right now I'm just clearing out quests and trying to up my light level. I think the new dungeon is like requiring you to be a 1040 light level.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I'm only 940. So I've been grinding out the past few days, just trying to get like my light levels up, and it's actually been very friendly and letting me, you know, obviously giving me a lot of shit just so I can get to 1,000. Hopefully.
That was my question, because I remember when I sort of got to the back end of the 800s into the 900s, and the grind to get to there was pretty quick. It was just and then you were there, and then you just fall off a cliff almost, and then you're getting potentially you'd bump up one point in a night, you know, running strikes and hoping for the best with gear to get some improvements. So I'm happy that they've loosened those shackles a little bit, because it can, like, grind's good, and with sort of the looter shooters and things, it's expected to have people coming back and continuity and replayability, but it can get very draining too if you're putting 5 hours in a night and getting 1 or 2 points on your increase. So yeah, I get it. It's a juggling act for Bungie to find that happy medium to keep all players happy. Yeah,
well, I mean, like, the fact in, like, the, you know, event that they had where they were talking about this new content, they acknowledged that they stuffed up a lot of things. They acknowledged to the community, like, we know that you guys are upset. We know that we've dropped the ball on things. They said that there was a lot of things that they did where there was this, like, taking advantage of, like, FOMO, and they acknowledge that was not the best thing to do. So, I mean, acknowledging your wrongs is pretty good, especially on a really open, like, you know, just essentially putting yourself out there on video, just saying, yeah, we were wrong. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Destiny's a long-running game. You know, it's been a roller coaster. So we've had our highs, we've had our lows. And obviously this new content, you know, rubbed everyone the right way, because I wasn't the only one that, you know, loaded up Destiny again. A lot of people.
Yeah, like
jumped
NATO
back in.
messaged me with a screenshot of him reinstalling and things like that, and I saw Nasi was getting back in on it, and it's interesting you said that it's been well received. I'm very curious how much that has to do with as well Blizzard Activision obviously having no attachment to this game anymore. Now Bungie get more autonomy and control as to how this game's going to be shaped. I wonder if that also plays an overarching factor.
It could, but I think, like, Activision hasn't had its hand in the, you know, Destiny pie for a while now. So there has been actions where it's just been straight from Bungie, like straight, you know, from them. So like people have mentioned, like, Bungie's just been more focused on this content that's coming up as opposed to all the stuff that's been thrown in between, which has been described as filler. So, you know, like, I honestly hope it's as great as they say. I hope it's everything that everyone wants, because I love Destiny and I want to see it succeed. 100%. I will shit on it when I can, but
yeah. Which is justified too, considering the amount of hours you put into this game. You know the game well, you know the ins and outs, what's good, what's not. So I think it's more, when you do poo-poo on it, it's more than just trying to be controversial and have a spicy opinion. It's coming from a place of knowledge and
it's like
care.
Like a disappointed parent. Like, you know, like, I've put a lot of time into you, you know, built you up, and, you know, and this is how you pay me back. This is how you know, treat me. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. Which hurts so much more.
It does. It should.
And anyone that says otherwise is a damn fool. Because that, you never want to disappoint anybody. You make someone mad, they can get over it. But disappointment, it can linger for a good long time. So, yeah, just do better.
Yeah. So,
but I'm intrigued. I've looked at it and I'm like, ooh, maybe I might fire this up once I finish The Last of Us 2. And yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. Destiny 2, I'm keen. I saw as well that they're talking about like, are they going to be bringing in crossplay? I know they've got cross save, but I saw murmurs around the water cooler that cross play is going to be supported in the near future. So I could be playing with you across PC to console. So that's kind of cool if that's going to be happening, unless that was just all a lie.
Yeah, I think that was something they were discussing. I know that they wanted to push forward, saying that obviously if you're on PS5, you can play with people on PS4, and if you're on, you know, the new Xbox, you can obviously play with people on the original Xbox, not the original Xbox, but the previous. But I think they did mention that they were, you know, focusing on, you know, PC, Xbox. I don't know if they were mentioned PlayStation, PC, or whatever.
That would be so Xbox. Great if they could bridge that. Like, I've pivoted primarily to playing on the PC now, but it would be awesome to be able to just be playing on the Xbox on the couch with you and other friends that we got that might be on the PC, instead of having to sort of shift into the computer room per se. So that would be cool. I think
I have a few friends that, like, they're strictly like console. So, you know, you get the occasional message of just like, can you play on console? I'm like, not with the level of, like, grinding. Like, I'm
obviously
set on PC.
They've got the cross save, which is great, but that doesn't also mean that you then have to buy the game again, or at least the expansions again, to get the full experience. So, yeah.
I don't know. I was looking into that. I think maybe expansions may stay attached to your account, but I mean, either way, I'm used to PC. Like, don't give me an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller and try to configure that again. No, I'm good.
See, people make fun of me for playing with my Xbox controller on PC, but it's because of these exact situations.
Oh, bullshit.
I just like the feel of it too, and keyboard and mouse is still something that just doesn't feel as automatic. I'm getting there. You know, I can touch type like the best of them.
Can you? I can't.
Good. Yeah, I'm pretty good. pretty good with touch typing. But anyway, enough of that humble brag. But yeah, anything else you want to mention you've been doing, or should we keep rocking and rolling?
I'm just going to question because I've been catching up on a animation called F is for Family.
This new season of that just dropped, didn't it? I think
yeah. So the new season I think probably dropped recently because that's why I've been binge watching it. But I was trying to think. I don't think anyone I know has ever mentioned this show, and it's really good. It's Bill Burr, so
yeah, I've literally not watched a single episode. Like I think it's 4 seasons now. It's been around a little while.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's been around a while. Like I've been watching it. Like it's the right level of like family drama, just with profanity and grossness and brutal honesty and just like it's Family Guy but a little bit serious and a little more cruder. So yeah, I really enjoy it, but I kind of thought about it. I'm like, no one else has talked about this show. Like, I've never heard anyone else talk about this show. So if anyone's looking for that, like, F is for Family.
Netflix,
check
right?
it out. Yeah. I believe the first episode is a bit of a, like, it takes you a bit to kind of get a grasp of exactly how the show, what the vibe is. But stick to it because it just gets better and, more ridiculous. So...
Yeah, like I'm just looking at the cast list. Obviously, Bill Burr, Laura Dern, Justin Long, Sam Rockwell. So some pretty good-sized Hollywood heavy hitters there. But yeah, I'm one of those people. I've skimmed past this thing 1,000 times on Netflix looking for something to watch, and I'm sort of, I don't know, I'm not really off animation. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but I typically just keep scrolling because it just feels like it's almost one and the same. Like I looked at the still and maybe the little trailer that Netflix played, and it just felt like I was going to be watching like King of the Hill 2.0, and I'm like, I don't feel like this right now. I don't need this in my life.
There's a level of King of the Hill where it's kind of, and I don't want to say too honest, like they try to take some honesty out of like real life, like on how people live kind of thing. But like I said, it's a little bit cruder and it's a little bit fucked up. There's a lot of things in there where you're just like, oh, that's fucked up. But yeah, I don't know. It's out there. If people have been looking for something, like especially on the animation wheelhouse, then, F is for Family, give it a shot.
Okay. And when you're done giving F is for Family a shot, be sure to check out the 4th episode of the Hungry Game Show. It is available now via early access at patreon.com/weare8bit, but will be available everywhere this coming week. It was a Borderlands 2 centric episode with streamer and YouTube extraordinaire Subpar Lover jumping into the competitor's chair. So find out if you performed well or not so well. Obviously available right now, patreon.com/weare8bit for the low price of $1 a month. Obviously, if you can't support us monetarily, that's fine. No issues there. It will be landing on the Hungry Gamers RSS feed as per normal this coming week. Episode 18 of the 8-Bit Cast is also available via early access at patreon.com/weare8bit, and it is a roller coaster of an episode put together by the Inconsolables crew. My goodness gracious, it is quite the episode. Give that a spin, and get that early, patreon.com/weare8bit. When you're done checking that out, obviously 8bitnation.net, 8bit.net, obviously shop8bit.net is our official web store. If you hadn't seen on the socials, every dollar earned via our Patreon or via our web store between now and July 31 is going to be going directly to Black Lives Matter. We are going to be distributing that money through charities here in both Australia and the United States. So every dollar we raise through there goes directly to good causes. Nothing is getting sort of reinvested back into the company. So yeah, if you want to throw your support behind us, now would be a perfect time because that money is going to be going to do a lot of good for people out there. So shop8bit.net, patreon.com/weare8bit. But when you're done checking our stuff, obviously Audio Technica is the next place you want to be going to. They are the best in audio-based equipment. We're talking headphones, we're talking microphones, we're talking game headsets. You want in-ear, you want wireless, you want your Bluetooth, you want your noise cancelling. They've got it all. So audiotechnica.com or audiotechnica.com.au to start shopping today. And tell them the Hungry Gamers said you, because we've been rocking and rolling with them since our inception, and that ain't ever going to change. And last but certainly not least, obviously be sure to rate, review, subscribe us, as well as all the other podcasts in the hashtag 8bit Collective on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find us. Be sure to chuck a rating and review because they help keep the emotional lights on in our hearts. Takes no time, costs you no money, and it means an awful, awful bloody lot to us as well as all the other podcasts you're listening to. But yeah, let's move into some news.
This week's news headlines.
And as we said in the lead off to episode 198, we are going to be recapping the PlayStation 5 conference that finished. Looking at the time now, it finished about 25 and a half hours ago, roughly. So we've had a little bit of time to reflect, gather our thoughts, and share our opinions on the conference itself. So, yeah, 26 games were either revealed or showcased during this PS5 conference. We got extensive viewing of the PlayStation 5 and its PlayStation 5 Digital Edition. So there's going to be two versions of the console available. We also got a little bit more of a look at the controller. We also saw a controller charging station, which supports two DualSense pads, a headset featuring 3D audio support and noise-cancelling microphones, and a media remote with built-in microphone as well. So I guess we could start with maybe what was our overall feeling on the conference. Did you enjoy it? You think it was well put together? Maybe then we can talk about the console and that aesthetic, and then maybe go into our sort of highs and lows of the conference overall.
Yeah, when it goes to the conference, it was done well. I hate that I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the comparative to the Xbox conference. Now, PlayStation obviously learned from that because every presenter was on a decent
present day webcam.
Yeah, and they had the uniform backdrop with the plain black backdrop and good video, good lighting. So they did that well. They definitely did that better than Xbox. The event of a whole, there was a lot of good content in there. I can acknowledge that there was a lot of good content, but there was also filler. What felt like filler in there. There was some things in there. I'm like, this sounds horrible. I'm just like, who cares? But I don't know if this is too early to kind of talk about it, but since we're just talking about the overall event, I just want to say how shocked I am. And I know people are going to contradict me and tell me I'm actually wrong, but technically I'm right. They opened the event with one of the oldest games in the that is currently still playable and popular, but the game itself was built for PlayStation 3. But that was the GTA 5 is what they opened the conference with.
Yeah, I thought that was very strange. I know it was a big flex because Rockstar are obviously one of the biggest fish in the pond in the gaming space. So I get that it's sort of this kind of big flex, saying look at us, we've got the biggest publisher or developer on the stage here leading it off. But yeah, it sort of was the wrong message to start with, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I'm with you. When you said there was some filler, that felt like filler to me. Don't get me wrong, there is GTA 5 tragics all over the world. The roleplay community has just breathed even further life into this game, and it's still regularly in the top 10 charts and whatever else. But it just felt strange that, they were going back to this well to lead this conference off for the next generation by pulling something from several generations back by the time the PS5 comes out and saying, let's get amongst this, get excited. And then you're going to be getting $1 million a month up until the release and all this. And I'm like, no doubt there's some people watching this at 6 a.m. Australian time going, woohoo, yeah, this is the best. But for me, I was just I got up this early for this to start. If this is what they're setting the bar at right from the jump, I'm like, fuck, this is going to be a rough hour. Obviously, I was wrong and things improved steadily, but it was just a weird message to sort of lead this off with. Let's focus on, one of the biggest games of all time. Pop
it in the middle. Throw it somewhere else. Starting the event with it just seemed like a weird choice. And like you said, it kind of set a bad message for kind of what you were going to expect. However, someone's actually mentioned that they're going to put a supercut of every reaction streamer or everything like that when the presentation started with the Rockstar logo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people just got excited because they thought they were going to get, some Rockstar new, content. And
yeah, GTA 6 or something was going to pop up.
Yeah, who knows? But, like, just GTA 5. It can be played on PlayStation 5. Cool.
Yeah, like
kind of
enhanced edition. Like, okay, fair enough. But yeah, it just was weird that was the lead in for this conference. And I was just like, oh, okay, fair enough. This is how it's going to start rocking and rolling. But yeah, I think overall they did really well. Like, we'll sort of talk about it with our tweet of the week, what some of the general consensus is out there. And I think I agree with where they're feeling, but I think it was well done. It had a lot of polish. Like, as you said, comparing it to Xbox, where I think Xbox tried to do more like from the heart and yeah, we're all here. Because I guess the climate has changed since when Xbox did their big reveal to now. Like, we were peak COVID. Like, the world was on fire. And it still is on fire and smoldering right now, don't get me wrong. But COVID then to now, like...
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
It's a big change. So Xbox went a little bit more hard on the sleeve, I think, and yeah, had Greenberg on the webcam from Windows 98 and stuff like that. But yeah, PlayStation, it was polished, it was tight, it didn't overstay its welcome. I thought that sort of hour-ish runtime was perfect.
Yeah.
The console itself, like, if we sort of pivot to that, like, what do you think of the look? Like, it's the most unique console that I can remember seeing for a good long time. Like, it's very futuristic, very, very modern and sci-fi-esque. Like, I can't disconnect from Detroit Become Human every time I look at this console and the controller. That's all I think when I look at it. Like, the white black with the blue color palette, like, it looks sleek and it looks unlike any other console you'll have in your house. Don't get me wrong, but what do you think about this thing?
I don't know, like, it seems like they tried hard to be different with this. Like, they're like, let's do something different. And like, a lot of people, like, I don't care about the design as long as, it works. And I get that. But, like, then if the majority of us actually doesn't care too much about the design, then just keep it simple. Keep it streamlined. Keep it, keep it pretty, like, standard, but just add pretty lights to it. That keeps most of us happy. PCs, players and people that build their
RGB
PCs
this
can
baby up.
Yeah, exactly. Just make it flash some pretty lights and we're happy. The first thing, like, I kind of looked at it and I'm like, so, design wise, standing upright, it had that, inner bend. And for me personally, I need to have it down. Like, I need it laying down.
You want the horizontal.
Exactly, because, like, my TV unit, that's where it would go, and I'm not leaving anything that looks like that out for people to see. I keep everything clean and put away. So, and then seeing it on its side, I'm like, okay, at least I know it can be, laid flat that way. But it just seems like they tried to do something different. Can't fault them for that, but it's just like, why do it? Like, if they were trying to be different and not do a box because they're like, oh, we can't do a box because someone else is doing a box, or, oh, we've got to do something different that stands out from the others. Like, I don't know. Like, chances are, like, in a few years' time, they'll rehash the design and they'll get rid of those white flexes and it will be probably straight.
I'm curious. Like, I wish they did, like, a darker color palette. Like, I've seen a heap of mock-ups already, and Boss Logic did some great ones where it was sort of like black charcoal and red as opposed to black, white, and blue. And they just looked like chef's kiss sleek. Like, they look really nice. Because I worry about the marks that would appear on this white, like fingerprints and dirt and scuff. I wonder how clean it's going to stay. And I'm with you. Like, when they showcase this thing on the vertical, I'm sitting there going, oh shit, where's this going to go, type of thing. But then, yeah, you see it flipped on its side and it'll still function. But it is a big unit. Like, there's some comparisons of this compared to, like, the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, the Series X, and this thing looks like it's at least an inch taller than the Series X. Like, it is a big bit of gear, and understandably so, because you need a lot of fans, you need a lot of processing power. So these things are naturally going to get bigger when the sort of load increases in the units. But I didn't think it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. The memes already doing the rounds with the console have been phenomenal. The Mordor one I think got me the most, with the Eye of Sauron on the top of this thing from Lord of the Rings. That cracked me the hell up when I saw it yesterday.
I think the ones where people just straight up just put a white binder around their router, it's just like it's something as simple as that people are just like, there you go, there's the design. Yeah. And then people have been posting like air filters or like air conditioners that look exactly like it. So unique design, like if you were to say to me like, just FYI, I'm getting a PlayStation no matter what, like just putting it out there. So regardless of my opinions here, I am still getting a PlayStation, doesn't matter. But if you said to me like design wise, which one would you want, PlayStation or an Xbox? I want the Xbox. Yeah,
the Xbox, like even though it is sort of plain, like it's a black rectangular brick looking thing, like it is a lot sleeker when you're thinking of home aesthetic. It would easily meld into most sort of styles at home as opposed to this thing, because it does look like that air conditioner one is it to a T. Like, and I wonder if one of the artists had this thing beside them and they were just sort of like instinctively, it was just getting sort of plugged into their head because they see it in their peripheral every day, this air conditioner beside them, and like, how am I going to mock this up? And just naturally it sort of made its way to the PlayStation design board. They just forgot
that they had to hand it in like the next day, and they're like, oh.
Yeah, that'll do some nice lines like, down the side, blacken them in, you're done.
Done. Like the other thing is, and like obviously we're just seeing pictures of these things, we haven't really seen like full on in our faces physical units, but like there's something a little bit cheap looking about this, like something a bit toyish, I guess. And like, and it's fair, like I understand we're on the older side of the spectrum and there's obviously a whole generation below us where they want cool edgy shit, but there's just something I don't know, a bit toyish about it.
Toyish, so. and as you said, like very modem or router like I wouldn't be surprised if they had a version of this in beta where there was an antenna on the back of it or something, you know, like it's crazy. And I keep thinking back when I look at it too, is like the OG Xbox 360s that were white and had that sort of concave as well, ever so slightly. Oh, yeah. Like it sort of has a little nod to that. Like obviously it wasn't white and black like the Xbox 360s, it wasn't white and black, but they were pure white, but it had that same shape and in a white color.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, so I thought that was a little bit strange when I was sort of reflecting on it, but I'm with you. I'm buying one of these day one. Like, yeah, it's not perfect for my sort of taste from aesthetic point of view, but we're here about the games predominantly. So maybe we could sort of pivot into what we thought were the top three moments or games or just whatever's from the showcase. We've got a couple of honorable mentions. So did you want to lead us off with a few of your honorables?
Sure. So honorable mentions, Solar Ash. That was a beautiful game and music as well. And like, it's done by the same people that do, is it like Hyperlight? Is that
Hyperlight Drifter, yeah.
I've never played that game and it's been on my list forever. So, but just witnessing Solar Ash just as a trailer and just like artistically, and I think they even showed like some gameplay in it. Like it felt like it was actual gameplay.
There was a bit where the character landed on that planet and you could sort of saw a bit of movement through the world.
Yeah, it just looked like it's one of those great games where it's visually stunning and it's just something that you could just throw on and just play out kind of thing. And just seeing it, I'm just like, see, this is beautiful. I like this. This is a gorgeous looking game. So Solar Ash definitely was memorable for me. I noticed this one's also on your memorable list, so I guess I'll just quickly skip it and then quickly talk about Oddworld Soulstorm.
Hell yeah. I wanted to put this on my list too, but didn't make my final cut.
I'm going to say, like, it's memorable for me because I love Oddworld. Like, Abe's Odyssey just as a game brings back so many memories for me of my like childhood, and you know, like how that intro used to scare me as a kid, like, but it was so cool, just like that starting sequence and then playing the game and just how unique it was for me, and all the like, you know, you can always find a fan if you just say hello, follow me, okay. So seeing like Oddworld back in there and seeing Abe back in there, it was just refreshing. I'm just going to put a side note. I was a bit iffy because there was a part of it where, like, I understand that the games are kind of puzzle-like, but there was a segment in the trailer where I'm just like, this looks very puzzle-ish, like less about like being in an environment, more about like complete this puzzle. So I'm a bit iffy, but either way, it was just great seeing like Oddworld and Abe amongst it. So that made me happy.
Graphically, it looked nice. I like that they kept with that same sort of side-scrolling style that we're used to from the Oddworld games. Obviously, with I think it was Munch's Odyssey, they changed to sort of a 3D plane, but they've gone back to the well here with Abe and the Murderkins or the Murduckins. I don't know which way you want to pronounce it. But it looked awesome, and it looks like they've got the same sort of original voice actors involved and the same writers. The game's apparently going to run like 10 hours, so you'll get a pretty good investment. And yeah, it does look a little bit puzzly, but a lot of death. My goodness, there was a lot of death showcased in that trailer too. And
it seemed like it was okay this time around. Before, it was kind of like count your deaths kind of thing, but this time, like, it just seemed like it was reckless. So, but it was great to see. The last one of my honorable mentions was Deathloop.
Yes, and that's on my list too.
Funky looking game. It's just like stylized, and the music as well, and the concept. You know, like actually the concept we did see twice in this presentation, this PlayStation presentation of kind of looping your life back again. We did see that twice. However, the style of Deathloop kind of looking a bit like Grindhouse, a bit like funky retro. It was really good. It really stuck with me.
Yeah, it was one of the highlights of the show for me. Obviously, it got announced earlier this year, or maybe the tail end of last year when we first sort of saw this pop up from Arcane Lion, obviously, who's done the Dishonored franchise most recently, and you can see a lot of that in the gameplay, like first person sort of shooter mechanics with some abilities. You're teleporting around the joints, very stylized killings. The world looks great, like very grindhousey sort of style to it, which I loved. Very stylized and artsy. The soundtrack was pumping. The voice work was cool.
Yeah.
And just putting it on a spin, like having, obviously you're an assassin trying to escape this island, but every time you die it resets. But then there's a rival assassin that's trying to kill you as well. But then at the end it shows you taking control of this other rival assassin. So I'm wondering if there's going to be like multiplayer elements to it, or if it's just going to give you two separate stories to tackle. So, but it looks so cool, and I'm really, really, really excited for that one. It looks phenomenal, and right up my alley.
Yeah. No, and I think these ones, especially like these kind of like indie looking ones, these ones that are a bit like out of the AAA scope, when they have such an impact on you, when they are amongst it all, I think it really says something. I just really hope that they stay fresh in people's minds, you know, like sometimes we hype up things when we see them in these like conferences or E3s, and we're like, that's really cool. And then it comes time where they're close to release and we all forget about it.
Yeah.
So
hopefully it gets the attention it deserves closer to release. Cause if I recall, it's scheduled to release holiday 2020. So it'll be out around the debut of the PS5, the Xbox and the PC, and it's apparently a timed console exclusive, so it's going to be on the PlayStation 5 and PC first, with Xbox Series X to come in the future afterwards. So that's a pretty decent get for Sony there. One of my honorable mentions was Pragmata, which is the new game from Capcom. Very strange. I just wanted to reference it briefly because it's bananas. I don't know what's going on. You're playing this like robot astronaut, and you save this young girl, and there's a holographic cat, which is an ongoing theme of this conference. There's cats and cat-related games left, right, and center. Yeah, but you end up flying to the moon, and you're on the moon with this girl who's not in a spacesuit on the moon. And they're staring at Earth, and she's like, "What's that?" And then it ends with like the astronaut saying "freedom," and I'm like, what in the Christ is this game? So I just wanted to reference that because I have no idea what's going on. Apparently it's not going to be out till 2022, so we've got a little bit of a wait on that one, but it's cool to see Capcom bringing some new IP to the show floor, as opposed to the Devil May Cry and Resident Evil cycle that they've been going through the last few years.
I feel bad because I did see a lot of people after seeing that just going, Death Stranding? Like, a lot of people made, like, that kind of connection or reference, which was, like, I don't see it too much, but, you know, the only thing that bothered me about that trailer was that girl's hair. It frustrated
It was just one big piece.
Out of me. It was. And, like, I can't understand with all these, like, things with technology, just, like, why can't we nail hair?
Yeah, we can do everything else so well, but hair is just the Achilles heel of the game developer.
Yeah.
And the other one I wanted to mention, Ghostwire Tokyo, got some runtime here on the conference, which is done through Tango Softworks, published by Bethesda. It was one of my sort of potential sleepers for a well-reviewed game in 2020. We're not getting that now because it's coming out in 2021, so there's a mulligan for me. But the gameplay looks crazy. First person, set in Japan, fighting these weird, like, ghost spirit things, using like mystical abilities and whatnot. There was a lot going on. It looked cool though, from an aesthetics point of view.
Like, when that came up, and at the very start of it, it looked cool, it looked spooky, it looked scary. But as the trailer kind of progressed, the scary element kind of vanished.
It got less spooky, didn't it?
It got less spooky. And then I also saw a repetition of, like, enemies. Like, I saw the schoolgirl with no head a lot, and the, like, Slender Man with an umbrella a lot. So I'm like, is there going to be, like, more enemies? Or are these, like, people that you're just going to constantly be, like, you know, in your face while you try to, you know, get to point A to point B. I love the concept of, like, scary supernatural mixed in with technology and kind of combining those two. But yeah, just at the start, it was like, yeah, this looks creepy as shit. And then it just like, I'm like, oh no, this just looks like a game. Like, it doesn't look scary at all.
Yeah, it sort of lost a little bit of that uniqueness, and I'm hoping there is going to be a lot more variety in the enemy types, because if you are fighting the same set of 5 skins the whole time, then it's gonna lose that impact and that frightfulness. Because those first few scenes with that headless schoolgirl coming at you, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my kind of fucked up. Like, it just feels like a good Japanese horror. And then when you're starting to see it more and more, you become numb to it. So hopefully they mix that up a little bit. One of my honorable mentions, I'll leave it because you've got it in sort of your top 3, and we'll probably tackle that one together. Actually, no, you shifted that because. So one that was, I guess we both thought very highly of was Little Devil Inside, which it looks almost like it's 2 games in one, where you're sort of fighting, you're playing as this, like, monster hunter type fellow in mythical times, and then it cuts to, like, this older gentleman just living in a very, very boring normal society, and he's just trying to get through life. So I don't know how that's going to interweave.
I kind of got the vibe that he was like maybe like a scientist or a professor or some man of, like, science, and you are like a monster hunter, because at the very start you see the character come in with, like, a monster, and he kind of, like, drags it in to the, you know, the older gentleman. Honorable mention for having a poop gag, a well-timed poop gag.
Oh yeah, that was phenomenal. Yeah, old man on the potty, and it drops just as the monster hunters in there doing the battle, which is great. Like, art style was cool.
It was really gorgeous.
The monsters look great. Like that one of the final scenes where the monster hunter's sort of hiding behind a wall, and there's that giant, like, demon cat thing trying to hunt him down. Like, it looks really great, and it really stood out for me as one of the most unique games that was showcased here out of the 26.
Yeah, there's sometimes the tendency when and I hate to say this, but sometimes indie games have, like, you know, a very stylized, like, a really gorgeous looking style to it. But then sometimes you just, after watching the trailer, you're like, yeah, the style's nice, but what's the game? Like, you know, I don't see any kind of, like, longevity in the gameplay. You can only get by on pretty for so long. But the gameplay, from what we saw and what we can assume, like, with going around and capturing, like, these crazy beasts, demons, ghouls, whatever they are, like monsters, it just looks really great, and it looks like that you're going to have to approach it in different ways.
Which looks phenomenal. And the end scene where the big dragon is sort of stepping up to the monster hunter, like, it looks cool, and I'm excited to see more of this game. From what I can understand, it might be a PlayStation console exclusive. It's going to be on PC as well, but no mention of the Xbox or even something like. I could see this sort of working on the Switch too.
Switch, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, looked really, really cool. It was one of the ones that stood out for me. The second the trailer started for that, I was like, oh, okay. I like what I'm seeing here already. So, if we sort of move into our top three, my first one, obviously it was one of the first games that they showcased after the GTA 5 situation, was Spider-Man Miles Morales. So the sequel to Insomniac Games' is massive hit, which obviously was Marvel's Spider-Man. It's set to be released on the PlayStation 5 this year, which I thought was huge. And it's something that they didn't showcase enough. I think they should have made a bigger deal that it was coming out this year. So this is going to be I'm assuming going to be a launch title. It would make sense that they sync this up with the launch, right?
I guess so, yeah. I guess it kind of makes sense with that. This game, unfortunately, has been hit with a bit of turmoil in the fact of misinformation of exactly what it is. To elaborate, it's apparently not like a new Spider-Man game like Spider-Man 2. It will be its own standalone game from what I can understand, but I guess it's more of an extension from the original Spider-Man. So yeah, it's not like DLC. It will be its own separate game.
Yeah, but sort of like a not AAA size. It's going to be a shorter playthrough, a more compact playthrough compared to what we got with the first Spider-Man game. And I don't mind that. It's just going to be interesting if they charge full price, knowing that it's going to be a shorter experience. Is it going to be a cheaper cost? They haven't sort of disclosed costings for it yet, but this game in itself, or this expansion or addition, I think it's going to be a nice unit mover for the PlayStation 5. Especially with into the Spider-Verse 2 now in development as well officially. So it all connects nicely, and it's a huge feather in the PlayStation 5's cap showcasing this one off. I know we were sort of hypothesizing a couple of weeks ago about what we thought we might see, and I think I was batting 100 off this conference with my thoughts. So I'll take that win. But yeah, it looked awesome. What about you? What was your third?
So my third was Project Athia, I think is how you say it. Athia. It was pretty much on this early in the conference, and it was very short, unfortunately. But it's by Square Enix, which is kind of what grabbed my attention, because I'm like, at first I was like, oh, great, Final Fantasy, but it's not. Your female, lead, a lot of mystical, magical, beautiful looking environment.
Stunning game, yeah.
Absolutely stunning. There were points where there were scenes where I'm like, oh yeah, I see the Final Fantasy in this. I can get that little vibe from it, but it looks like it's a completely unrelated game. Like I said, a lot of magical, mystical ability, a lot of traversing different terrains, different environments, giant beasts. There was this ending scene with this giant dragon with a pulsating fiery chest. So that was gorgeous. So like I said, unfortunately it was too short to make a solid opinion on it, but it definitely got my attention and I want to know more. Yeah,
that was one of the other ones that I was like, ooh, because I think it was in sort of the first act as far as this conference was. And yeah, really short presentation for it. No release date was given. I don't know if anything sort of circulated since, but nothing was shown in the trailer. One thing that stood out to me though, where on the trailer it said designed exclusively for PlayStation 5. I'd love to know that wording, if this means it is wholly and solely a PlayStation 5 exclusive. That's the way it reads, but just the way it's worded, it's a bit strange to me. But actually, it was gorgeous.
Can we also just say, with this PlayStation event, do we feel like they were not very open on saying whether they were PlayStation exclusives, whether they were I feel like that never really came up a lot. Yeah. You just kind of assumed.
And they avoided, Microsoft loved doing it, console exclusive, world first, all those things. They didn't do any of that unnecessary sort of flexing or just sort of market splash that they like to do. But yeah, Project Athia, it looked gorgeous. I'm a fantasy tragic, and seeing this massive, big, sprawling open worlds, big creatures. Looks like you're going to be playing with some magic and melee-based combat as well, and then fighting giant beasties. Like, yeah, sign me up. Like, it looked like sort of an even more fantasy-driven, like Fable. Like, imagine like a high-end, really polished-looking Fable mixed in with some Monster Hunter, or even like a little splash of God of War. That's sort of like in the blender for me. But yeah, Square's behind it, so I'm curious, and hopefully we don't have to wait too long. But yeah, no date attached, so maybe this is going to be several years down the line. But the hype is certainly there. Something else that's hype, I think we got some universal hype for our 2, and that's Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil Village, and they are taking the VILLs to make the number 8 for their marketing spiel. So this is following directly off the back of Resident Evil 7, set a few years later, and you return as Ethan and his wife Mia, and you're sort of free to live your life past the nightmares of 7. But then Chris Redfield rocks up, and he shoots Mia dead right in front of Ethan, which I thought was like, what the fuck? And yeah, and Chris Redfield, he's been on the protein shakes. He has gotten huge.
He is brick shit house. Like, why he was so like
Yeah, but we've moved from the Baker Mansion to like some sort of almost like countryside in Europe. Very open. They're showing things like there's werewolves, witches. It's going very much down that spiritual magic side as opposed to the traditional zombies and that type of nightmare fuel. Looked awesome though, and yeah, sticking with that third person perspective, changed inventory slightly from some stills, but I am so excited for this.
Yeah, so the trailer was really good at giving you a lot, but still not giving you like much, like giving away much.
Perfect explanation. Yeah,
we definitely saw gameplay as a male character, like especially with the shotgun scene where you kind of like interact with like a farmer with a shotgun. So
yeah,
you know, you heard a male voice, but then throughout the trailer we also saw what appears to be gameplay as a female character. Like, so I don't know if like we'll be seeing that switch throughout the game, like you'll be switching between the two, which we've come to expect with Resident Evil games. So it'd be good to know if we like, you know, we'll be playing as Ethan and then playing as this other character, or like, I mean, at the end, like, sorry, at the start it says his story finishes or where his story ends. So maybe Ethan doesn't even get past Chris. So maybe
this is going to sort of pivot into Chris's shoes. Maybe we get some Chris flavor, who's been a stalwart since obviously Resident Evil 1. So yeah, and you see the evolutions of how he's looked as a character model, and I don't know what he's been doing. He's so much bigger than he ever has been. But anyway, it looks so good. We don't have to wait too long. 2021 release. I'm assuming it's probably going to fall into that January-February window that they've been doing for the most recent RE games. So that's awesome. I think this game's going to be terrifying. Pivoting away from zombies and stuff to like werewolves and witches and mysticism. Yeah. Like, hell yes, I'm all about this.
Yeah, it was really good. And the environment is, you know, like the environment was really good at being able to take elements of Resident Evil 7. Like, you're very, very familiar, but then like kind of like, I'm assuming just molding it into this, you know, new environment of the village, which is, yeah, like kind of old style European kind of country, but then there's like a castle, like manor kind of on a hilltop. So yeah, can't wait to learn more about it. And it looks
good. I was so excited, and yeah, it was awesome to see this game realized after all these rumors and things that we've been sort of hypothesizing on for a few months now with leaks and whatnot.
I am disappointed. There was, when we previously talked about the village, I thought it was going to go down a more American style, like old village, like, you know, like
think of like Salem, especially with the witches.
Yeah, exactly.
You could do like witch trial-y sort of shit with Salem, which would have tied in nicely. But anyway, we're in Europe now. Maybe they're going to jump across, because why is it maybe Ethan and me, they're hiding in Europe? I don't know what they're doing there. Chris has been to Europe a few times with games. Leon was over in Europe with the Ouroboros and things like that, trying to save the president's daughter, as always seems to happen in these games. But yeah, I'm excited though. I cannot wait for some Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
what's your number one?
My number one, I don't know if this is going to shock people, but this one had just wowed me. It was, now I hope I said this right, like Kena, Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah, that's how I read it too, Kena.
Yeah. What a beautiful game. This is what I imagine like Breath of the Wild, if they just like graphically like enhanced it and just made these beautiful, magical, whimsical environments with just such gorgeous polished detail.
Yeah, it's the Zelda game that I wanted it to be.
Yeah. And then they had the addition of these gorgeous little minion characters, these beautiful, cute little fuzzy, like black little monsters.
They were just ripped straight out of Spirited Away. They're little black sprites from Ghibli.
I guess I can see that. Yeah. And the female lead, and she seems like she's probably on the younger side, holding weapons of a staff, and then we saw her also shoot an arrow. A lot of mystical, magical ability attached to it. And then there was also the element with those cute little fuzzy black minions that looked like it took from Pikmin, and I freaking love the Pikmin franchise, and it seemed like you could instruct them to hold this or throw them here to help you with that, and it just there was all those little elements in it. I'm like, this game's grabbed me. I want to know more about this game. It looks beautiful. The gameplay looks like something I would really enjoy. So so that is probably my favorite title that came out of it. It was
gorgeous, and I'm with you. It took me by surprise, and it just sort of scratched all those little action adventure itches. It looked gorgeous. Ember Labs is a great studio. It's a PlayStation 5 console exclusive as well, so good win there for Sony again. Don't know if it's timed or whatnot, but at least it's an exclusive on Sony's platform for now. But yeah, it looks awesome. The environment, the forest area they showcased was really pretty. The art style was great. The combat looked cool. I like that your staff and bow is the one in the same device. She pulls the staff and it becomes an arc bow where she can sort of draw this mystical sort of arrow off it and things. It's really, really pretty looking. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. I know it's probably going to infuriate a lot of people, but it looks more appealing to me than a Breath of the Wild sequel, because Zelda, I don't know what it is with Zelda and that franchise, but it just doesn't resonate with me the way it does with other people. And I cared more about this character Kena in the span of a 2-minute trailer than I have ever done for Link. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because she's got heart and personality and a voice. I don't know if that's what I'm looking for to get that attachment. But yeah, Kena looked awesome, and
Link has a voice. It's just
yeah. Give me some dialogue, damn it. But we've got plenty of dialogue with my number one, and it's probably to nobody's surprise. Horizon Zero Dawn 2 Forbidden West was showcased, and my goodness, I was harder than a bag of cut diamonds. It was something. So obviously direct sequel following on from the original Horizon Zero Dawn and then the Frozen Wilds DLC. Massive flex. The trailer looked phenomenal. More Aloy heading off into the far lands and exploring the ruins of old societies in a quest to save the natural world, because there just seems to be a lot of this technological virus circulating around and killing a lot of animals. It looked absolutely stunning. We're getting Aloy in the water now, so you've got sort of some water environments where she's got a little rebreather. She's sort of wading through, and then there's water dinosaurs now, and giant big war elephants and shit like that. It looked so cool. The enemies and the sort of new enemy models and the creature models looked phenomenal. The environments looked absolutely stunning. I cannot freaking wait. I'm assuming it's going to come out sometime next year. There was no dates attached to this thing, but holy hell, I'm all in from day one. Take my money, collector's edition, whatever it is, I'm buying it.
I gotta say, I'm unfortunately not a fan of Horizon Zero Dawn. Sorry. But, I can acknowledge that seeing this beautiful, tropical, coastal environment was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And I'm like, oh, nice. She's finally going to be in, a nice, appealing environment. And then there was, snippets of it back in the snow. I was like, damn it. But, like, you know, she's out on the West Coast. You know, we saw what appears to be the bridge in San Francisco, kind of deteriorated in the back. So that's kind of interesting. And I'm assuming the areas where she's in forest is Yosemite.
Yeah, that's how I sort of interpreted it too. Like, I don't know the landscape as good as you over there on West Coast, Best Coast, but yeah, I could see some of the landmarks and key areas, and that's what I thought they were as well.
And I kind of like that there's this like kind of organic enemy that she appears to be going against as well. Like when you see at the start this kind of like what looks to be like a pink kind of moss, kind of seaweed looking matter that was killing the animals, and you saw her like, you know, you see at the start like a dead fish, and then she proceeds to go over to what appears to be a dying fox, and it seems to be also destroying like the land and the crops. Meanwhile, there's like a cloud like of thunder kind of as well. So I'm glad to hear that there's more than just robots.
Yeah, and we see Silence make his appearance again, obviously modeled and voiced from Lance Reddick, who's sort of one of the main characters from the first game, and he makes an appearance, and it looks like he's sort of almost the head of this sort of tribe that are running around causing ruckus. So I'm curious to see how that all weaves in together. But yeah, that trailer, like, and I think it followed almost directly off the back of Resident Evil 8. I think they were almost like bam near the end of it, and I was like, my heart was nearly exploding with joy, like seeing these franchises that I love so much getting showcased and showcased well. So yeah, they were phenomenal. Cannot wait. Listeners, maybe send us in your sort of favorite points from the conference, maybe the game of the conference for you, or the moment in the conference that you thought was the best or the worst. You know, we'll talk negatives on here as well if they're available. So fire them to us. Hello at 8bit.net, obviously on the socials at We Are 8bit if you want to slide into them DMs. But I guess that weaves nicely into this part of the podcast.
Tweet of the week.
And we sort of wanted to get a little bit of a temperature check out there in the space to see what was everyone's overall feeling from yesterday's PlayStation 5 conference. And we had 4 tiers. Best thing ever. Pretty bloody awesome. Okay, I guess. And I got up at 6 a.m. for this. And obviously the 6 a.m. one is the most negative response you could get. And that's got 6.5% of the vote. And then after that, coming in at third place was the best thing ever with 12.9%. Okay, I guess, got 25.8%. And pretty bloody awesome, which you'd say, I guess, would be like 75 out of 100, 75%. If we're going to sort of break it down into sections, it got 54.8%. And that's where I cast my vote. Like, yeah, some of these games are my favorites in gaming. But yeah, I didn't think it was a perfect conference, but I thought it was pretty bloody awesome. So that's where I said I agree with the consensus. What about you, Miss Hart?
So I was okay, I guess, because like I can acknowledge that there was some good looking titles in there, and that there was obviously a lot of things that other people would be excited for. For me, to what appealed to me, I felt very limited. And just the overall, like the filler, so like the Sackboy game and the other PlayStation character game robot thing, and you know, there was just like a lot of things that were in there, and I was just like, starting with GTA, like, so I was like, like there were good titles in there, and there's obviously titles that everyone else got excited about. For me personally, I was like, okay, I got to witness some new games that I liked, but okay, I guess. Yeah,
absolute ton of games, like 26 games were showcased. Some of them were already known to us, but yeah, 26 games. I sort of gave like a 3 heart scale on some of the games that were interesting to me. So if you want to check that out, obviously hit me up on the Twitters at Brendan8bit, and you'll see I think it was my most recent tweets. You'll see some of the games that have got me excited for in the near future. But yeah, that's been about this podcast. Did we want to maybe just close off with this?
New releases and events.
Absolute bucket load of games coming out this coming week. Two of note that I thought we should probably highlight. Pokemon Sword and Shield, the Isle of Armor expansion, coming out on Nintendo Switch on June the 17th. And then a little old ditty dropping on June 19th. The Last of Us Part 2, PlayStation 4 exclusive. getting very, 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 very positive reviews. I think last I checked, it was 95 on Metacritic, 10 out of 10s just about everywhere else around the traps. But on the back of that, there is the sort of pitchforks and fire stick people out there saying that they're all paid, and they're all paid shills for reviewing it so highly. But The Last of Us Part 2, very, very positive reviews coming in the last 12 hours or so. I think the embargo lifted at about 5 or 6 p.m. Australian time yesterday. But they're two games I wanted to mention. Anything else of note this week that that's coming out, playing, viewing, seeing, doing?
No, well, nothing that I can think of. Like I said, F is for Family came out. That new season came out, so that's about the only thing I'm gonna pimp. Game wise, no, I'm sorry, Destiny 2. I'm sorry, everyone. I know.
That's all right. It happens. We do these things. And we're going to be doing these things again next week with our very special guest, one of 8-Bit's sweariest dads, half of the comedy game creation podcast known as Bitstorm. We're talking about Mr. Trevor Scott. He's going to be joining us for episode 199 of The Hungry Gamers, so I get excited for that. And then the next one after that, obviously, is the big 2 hundo. So as I said, send those questions, thoughts, memories, all that stuff to us. hello@8bit.net on the emails, at We Are 8-Bit on the socials. Obviously, I'm at Brendan8Bit, and Miss Ali Hart is at Miss Ali Hart. Anything you want to say? Are we done?
I think we are done.
Fair call. All right, listeners, thanks again for stopping on by. Much love.
Stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.
GTA 5. Really?
Very, very big misfire from Sony there. Like $1 million a month every month. I don't give a shit about that.
It was an NBA title as well, and I forgot about that.
Oh, that's right. Zion just there dunking and then leaving a ring on the ground.